Hello everyone. Welcome to Mastering the Craft session. After this, my intent is that you'll be a master crafter. I tried that term in my mind. I don't know if it sounded as good as I thought it was. But at least I tried. I'm Jaswinder Ratanpal, one of the PMs for Prompt Builder. My colleagues couldn't make it today, but hey, I'm here. So you'll have fun. If you want to take a picture, read it, please go ahead. Make your purchasing decisions based on everything that's released. We're going to talk a lot today. I'll try to keep the slides minimum, or I'll just breeze through them because I want to get to the demo. Demo is end-to-end for Prompt Builder and mainly focusing on really what you should know about Prompt Builder when you are thinking about your use cases, planning for it, template types, the whole UI and whatnot. So we'll talk about that in the agenda today. And we have a surprise unveiling at the end. You'll get to see Prompt Builder UI 2.0. And we'll keep the power of Prompt Builder, but making it easier for you. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being our customers. And thank you for not getting up when you heard it was just me. Appreciate it. You may not have seen this slide before, I'm pretty sure. I mean, AI will transform everything. And so I just wanted to bring again that we are talking about AI. But like I said, I'm not going to spend too much time on the slides. I want to get to the demo. Just a reminder, just in case anybody new here, how it works is we have prompts. Prompts is like if you go to ChatGPT, you write a question, that's a prompt. You give it some data, the UI is the ChatGPT, and then you get the response back. But you have to do it manually. What we are doing with Salesforce and Prompt Builder is you can create prompt templates. So you don't have to create that prompt again and again. All you have to do is go to a record and somehow execute that prompt template. And then you will, this is prompt template, and somehow execute that. It'll bring in all the data in there. And what that means is you can use this prompt from anywhere. You can generate a summary. That is with the field generation, you can do that, or you can draft an email, you can create a product recommendation, you can bring it anywhere, but more importantly, you can also do it with flows and Apex. So you can execute these prompts with flows and Apex. You can also use flows and Apex in Prompt Builder. That is really powerful if you think about it. What can you not do with Apex? You can do everything, customized, make an API call, same thing with flow. So when we say you can use flows and Apex in prompt, that is very, very powerful. I was talking to somebody, they were asking, can I call external services? Again, I remind, flows and Apex mean everything. You can bring data from anywhere, data cloud, external services, APIs. And you can use it with Agentforce. Users don't have to know what's happening behind the scenes. They are on a contact record and they do something. They are in the order screen, they write an instruction, and behind the scenes it's executing Apex, flow, prompt template, and it's giving them a result. So it really, when we say you can use it from anywhere, we really mean it. Now this is important. I wanted to bring this up. This is not complete because in the next screen I have some QR codes and please scan them. What I really want to bring your attention is I got these points from OpenAI, Anthropic, and there were other sites. They are almost all the same. Use the latest model, but the second part is most important, that best fits your use case. This is very important. When you go to Anthropic website, for example, there's a table. They have all the models listed, and they say this model is good for this. So when you think about your use case, keep that in mind. I have been asked many times, which model should I use? And my answer is, I don't know. It's up to your use case. You want faster results, you want small summary, you want big pages, you want complex data. It depends on that, and you have to pick your model that way. Now, you can just add a question in natural language, and it'll work. But if you give it more information, if your instructions are structured, if you are very specific, if you tell, I want this response, I want JSON, XML, I want this format, I want HTML, use these tags. If you're very descriptive, it works better. So you can tell an architect to build your kitchen. They'll do it, but it may not be what you want. They say, OK, I built a kitchen, but I didn't want that. because you didn't give them information. It's the same way. You have to give them information and data to make that decision. And there are also limitations. The first line, you may be wondering why it's there. We have seen many use cases where customers are trying if statements in the instructions. If account dot priority high, do this. If case dot escalated, do this. And they are expecting LLMs to do that, and it works somewhat, maybe 60%, but not 100% because it's not guaranteed. And if you go to the website I mentioned for Anthropic, it says programming for this model, it's only 35% accurate because it comes under programming to figure those things out. So that is important for you to understand, tying it back to which model you use. They're not consistent. Every time you generate something, it generates something new. Somebody had asked, why can't I get the same result back? Because that's how they are built. And they are not 100% accurate, so you still have to keep an eye on it. Whatever is generated, is it correct? Maybe eventually when the technology is improving, it improves even further, maybe, but for now it's not. The last one is very important. I have seen use cases where they're trying to do predictive with generative. You have to understand the difference. Before you even get there, the first question is it even an AI use case? It may sound like that AI is cool, but is it something you should use? So, should I use AI, or maybe it'll work with a small flow or something? Sure, then do that, because then it's very predictive. You can decide what you want to do. But if it is AI use case that you can benefit from, is it predictive or generative? I can go on and on about this, so we can talk after if you want to ask me questions about your use cases, but this is very important because I've seen it fail when somebody says, I want this, but it's not happening. No, it will not, because it's regenerate every time. So if you have a business critical output that you want to use, maybe generative is not for you. These are the URLs that I got from those sites. I mean, it's just one of those, but there are many. They talk about examples on how you should write instructions, and the right one talks about the limitations for each model, and they have the tables to talk about those. Okay, so if I can get it back at the end, if anybody needs to take more pictures, but let's go to the demo. Now, before we go to the demo, I just want to talk about the features that have been released so far. It's very important to remember the features that are GA so that you can make good use of them. Did you know that global and multi-language is GA now? You can use Apex to send output parameter and get the response in the allowed language in a template. Or even the packaging and MD API is GA. You can start packaging today with unlocked, unmanaged, managed 1GP, 2GP packages. Everything is GA. This is what we're going to talk about. So just to make sure we are on the same page, I'll be working as Maria. She's a garden guide at Maria's Gardening. And they specialize in gardening supplies and services. They want to generate, they have consultations. They want to generate notes about that consultation. They have too much data, and they have too many customers. So one, it takes so long just to go through all the data in Data Cloud and in others to generate the note. It may take even one consultation, let's say 30 minutes. And then they have to generate an email from those notes to send to the customer. And those emails are not consistent, and her team are facing this problem where they cannot meet the demand because it takes too long, and even then email may not be sufficient. So in our demo, we're going to see how they're going to use it. Now, it's a very simple demo. It's very simple, but that's intentional, because it's not about the complex demos. It's about how you can use it in everyday life and how it can help you. So what you're seeing here is consultation. So somebody says, I want this consultation. There is type of introduction. I think the font's big enough. And there's a picture of they want these. And then what I want to do is I want to generate notes. So I go here. This is Agentforce. And I say, help me come up with this consultation. So what's happening is, if I go to this customer's record, there are all of these details, their language and their subscription tier, all of that information, the opportunities, the assets, the customer service cases, all of that information, and it's scanning through that. and it's generating notes, something that will take you quite a bit of time just to go through that, process it, build it, and get the notes. So let's see what it comes up with. Oh, look at that. It came up with something that is properly formatted, has all the information, and recent orders, important notes. So now, if I refresh this record, it has automatically saved it in the notes. So it's not just it's generating it, Agentforce is already saving it. Now you may ask, why do this? If you have used field generation, why not use field generation? That's a valid point. I could have used Sparkle Edit and done the same thing, but it's the next step where Agentforce shines, which is now I don't have to figure out generating an email. It's recommending, say, yes, I want to draft a reminder email for my customer. So I can do that as a next follow-up, so I don't have to do it manually, or I don't have to just have another sales email editor to be able to do it. So you can do one by one. And it generates that email. It's good. And not only that, there's a third recommendation. I don't have to worry about it. And I can say, send it to my customer if all looks good, or if I want to change it, I do it. That's it. That's our demo. And now we'll go through the entire setup of how we did it. So we generated notes. That was first template. Then we drafted an email, and then Agentforce sent it. So we have two templates that we'll walk through. OK, so for those who haven't seen it, this is Prompt Builder. And it's in setup, Einstein setup, and Prompt Builder. We have all the templates. Some are standard, overrideable, and then custom templates that we have created. Before I get into the template, like I said, I want to go through all the features, all the questions that I have been asked so far. And the very first question that comes up is, what template type I should use? That's a very valid question, because even I get tripped over what template I should use. Sorry, they told me not to do this, and I did this. There are all sorts of templates. It goes back to what your use case is. If you were using this template like I did in Agentforce, for the most part, it doesn't matter. It'll work. Any template will work in Agentforce. But if I were to use it in field generation, that's Sparkle Edit, I should be using field generation. If I were to use it in Sales Email Editor for drafting the email, I should be using Sales Email or Service Email. So depending on where you want to expose this functionality, that decides your template type. In addition, if I pick anything, so for example, field generation will take account object, and then it'll be on a field. But if I want to give more information, it doesn't allow it. If I look at other templates, service email, similar, they work on cases, but that's limited. So Flex is one of the most powerful one, because it gives you information. You can use objects, you can use free text, and you can use data model objects now, which is also GA. So free text allows you, imagine you expose this functionality in via flow, and then you can add a text box. So a list of opportunities is summarizing your opportunities. But now you're giving them the option to say, ask your question, and it says, show me my top opportunity. And then in the same template, we use that question as an input saying, by the way, after you generate this summary, here's a customer question, please answer that. And it'll show you what is the top opportunity. That's just an example, but you get the idea. It also can be used with chatbots and whatnot if you want to take those questions and pass it on to the prompt templates. OK, so now that we know that, we have created a template. So by the way, these are all the prompt template types that are available for now. It has all the information on what you need and what each template does. This is our first template. That's the one we use to generate the summary notes. If you remember my slide about LLM expectations, be specific, be descriptive, be very clear on what you want. And this is what we are doing here. We're telling it its role. Now, there are many frameworks. If you search for prompt engineering, you'll find many frameworks on how you can do this. We're using this one. So here, I'm telling them, yeah, it still is good enough. I'm telling them this is your role. Your job is to provide note and guidance for a gardening consultant. So I'm setting the stage. This is what you need to do. And then I'm saying, here is the context. Now, the way I add these fields is, if you're new, you can go to contact record, which we inputted, and then you can use all the fields. Or there's this nifty thing called record snapshot. What record snapshot does is it gives you all the fields that are in your default page layout, plus 5 top related lists and 5 records from each related list. So that's what it does. But in this case, we are being very specific, saying here is the information, and here is the subscription tier, here is the consultation. And then we also have this Einstein search, where we are using a retriever to pull these record data, their orders from Data Cloud. So imagine having to generate those notes with not only data in CRM, but also from Data Cloud. So we are pulling that in here. Now, there are 2 things here. One is there is the consultation type and the subscription type. One thing to remember, as per Trust, OpenAI, or any model that we provide through Salesforce, they are not allowed to train on your data. So they don't know what this custom subscription tier thing is. They have no context of that. So we have gone a step ahead, and we provided them information on, hey, when you see garden consultation types, this is what it means. These are all the values. And when you see subscription tiers, this is what it means. So we're giving LLM all the information to make that decision. And then we are not only doing that, we are saying, this is the response I want. It should contain important information, their preferred plans and whatnot. It should do that. But in addition to that, we are saying, by the way, I want it in this format. I want it in HTML. I want the tags. I want the body color, text color, being very specific. I keep repeating that, but that's important. So after I do that and I preview it, here you can see it has first resolved that template using this consultation that we were looking at and the contact. If, again, you haven't seen this, why is it saying person 0? We are masking this. We have turned on data masking. So what you see in resolution is what will be get sent to LLM. So masking means they only see person 0, they do not see the information. And if I scroll down, here is all the data, here is the data from data retriever, and then of course it has all the instructions we added. And when it comes back, it's in HTML format. When I tried it initially, it was random. It would give HTML, it will not give HTML. And as we kept refining the instructions and being very specific, 100% guarantee it will be HTML now. Now, I know I said 100% accuracy before. What I meant by that is I can tell it the structure and it will follow that. It's still not guaranteed, but 99% it will. But the data will always be, every time I click preview, it will be different notes. Right now, we are seeing HTML tags because we just display the response as is. Now, we'll quickly go through the template properties. This is what I already talked about, so I don't think I need to go over there. We have all of these standard out-of-the-box models. The answer to which one I should use, I already did that. So that is how you decide which model to use. It is important because if I use GPT-4, it'll still work, but it may be slower. But if I use others, if I use Omni, if I use Turbo, they'll be faster. So I will do that one by one. Maybe I'll start with Omni and see, does it give me that result? If not, then I'll go to 4 and other models until I get the result I want. Maybe I should be using Anthropic or Azure. So I need to preview that to be able to see that. Let's talk about this. So I talked about data masking, and this is where it says, when I say person 0, I mean Jasmine. If I see this, I mean this. So when the data comes back, we do another placement saying, okay, now replace the person 0 back to the actual value before we display it to you. So that's happening at the gateway, at the trust layer. The second feature we have released, I talked about language. I don't know if you noticed this before, it is here. And there are the allowed languages. I can decide which languages are allowed. By default, these are the supported languages. These are the global languages. What is the difference? The difference is The trust layer only works with certain languages. We are expanding on that, but there are just so many languages for trust layer to scan. So yes, you can use these languages under global, but they may not go through the trust layer. We may not be able to do the replacement. So you need to make sure you read the documentation and understand what it means. But when I do the preview language, if I scroll through, when I previewed, it's in French. So we are adding an instruction at the end by ourselves saying, by the way, whatever the customer said above, do it, but return it in French. That's what we are doing. And if French was not, so here I will only see the languages I've enabled, but let's say you executed from outside and French wasn't there, then it will fall back to English because French is not allowed. All right. This is also using a flow. So we are also using a flow to pull that information, and flows are template triggered prompt flows. That's the type. And you may say it's very simple. I just added it just to show what it is. The most important part, and I've seen customers miss it, is this add prompt instructions thing. So no matter what you do in your flow, at the end, whatever you want to send to prompt, it must be in the add prompt instructions. So if you have 3, they'll be appended. So if you are going through a loop, you can add it and it will append it. And in the end, it generates the text and it adds it there. This is Agentforce. We configured those 2 actions using those prompt templates. If I look at the action, it says this. Out of all of this, the configuration and everything matters. The instructions matter the most. The instructions you can control. This is what you write. So you can guide Agentforce to do something. So if I'm trying to be specific here, I can even do things like, hey, before you run this, please query the contact, get the information, and pass on the contact record to this template. I've tried that, and that works. Or you can say, after you are done, show the recommendations from the other actions. So you can have those instructions, and you can guide Agentforce through those. And this is our other template. Again, it's specific. This is the one that we used to draft the email. And then we just go through this. It's the same thing. It has the response, what I want, reference dates as month, number, day. I want it to do it like this. This is how I want the dates to show up. Don't include a subject. Or here is an example email structure. So when you generate that, make sure it comes up as this. So I can tell LLM what to do, and for the most part, LLMs follow it, mostly. Okay, so that ends our demo. I'll summarize. We generated notes with 1 template, then we drafted an email with the 2nd template, and then we sent it. So anything per consultation, something that would take 30 minutes, now will take maybe less than 1 minute because it's going through all the data, generating the email. Maybe the time will be spent on saying the email that it drafted, is it good enough? Maybe I should edit it before I send it, sure, and add more information. That will be mostly the time you spend on it. Maybe 5 more minutes to say, okay, this looks good, and send it now. So that is exciting. Even though I am talking about it, I should say that is exciting. But so far, if you haven't already, you would wonder, where do I do it? So customers who are really into Salesforce, which you all are, you know that you do it in sandbox first, and you don't do it in production. So we follow the same thing. So prompt templates have been, and we have even improved it further, are available for change sets and CLI. So you can use any tools that use CLI, DevOps tools, and other partner tools to move this data across, save it in GitHub. So this is another template that I created where I edit it in the sandbox, and then I can just deploy it to production, which was successful. And what I did was I added an action or an opportunity which calls this prompt template, and then I added that button here. So this template was created in sandbox, moved it to production, and I'm executing it. It should work, and it does. So you can now draft your templates and everything in sandbox and test the heck out of it before you move to production. In the beginning, I also talked about managed packages. So here is the template that I created, and it's saying finish. Again, may not be the use case to run it with a button, but just to show that you can move it from sandbox to production. I also have a package that I created, which is for prompt templates. And what it has is it has flow, it has 2 templates in there that, that I'm using. After I install this package, these templates show the same way here. And you'll notice the category now says custom manage installed. So it'll tell you these are the managed package templates. And when I go to account description field generation, I can take a look at that. You can preview it, you can do it, you can clone it, you cannot delete it, you cannot deactivate, activate it. ISV control that. So other than that, you can preview it and start using it whenever you're ready. And here I have configured the template Sparkle edit button. And now I can run it, and that's the managed package template that is executing. So it again behaves the same way. You can even include, you do it from unmanaged packages, unlocked packages, however that works. So this behind the scenes is using the managed package that I created. So that in a nutshell is our demo. Lot to unpack, lot to unpack. Let's see. We went through Agentforce, we generated notes, we drafted an email, we sent an email, we used prompt builders to generate those those prompt templates, and then we used CRM data, flow, science and search for grounding. We also used Sandbox to deploy templates and managed packages. That was our demo for today. And here are the lessons learned that I've gone through that. And I'll reiterate it. The very first thing, I would spend them, if I were you, I would spend the most time on planning. Is it even an AI use case? Is it generative or predictive? You need to answer those 2 questions honestly, and then you say, okay, it looks cool, and it is cool using Agentforce, but if it's not for your use case, maybe I shouldn't be using it. So be ready for that answer. Even though you may be disappointed, you don't get to play with Agentforce. Value to users. What's the value it provides to user? I showed you that I could run the same template with field generation, but I can run the same template with Agentforce. What's the additional value? Is it okay to have field generation? Is it good to have Agentforce? Agentforce gives you those recommended action, but do customers need them? If not, then maybe field generation is the way to go. And then talk about, like I said, where to expose, and then architecture data. As you start, you need to plan where this data will come from, what do I really need to do? And then testing, and keep doing testing, and then you get the feedback. I don't know if many of you noticed here, but when I show this, and I ended up going back, there is a column. Generations count, feedback, and whatnot. So every time you generate a template, you have a feedback and whatnot. These data show up. So it is, if I go to here, and if I were to do this thumbs up or thumbs down and give it a reason, that's where that data is coming from. This data is audit data. This will be stored in Data Cloud, and then we're pulling it just to show you quickly at a first glance how your template is doing. And then you take that feedback, and then you iterate again. There's no such thing as you did the template and that's it. You need to get your user feedback and say, iterate again. Okay, they didn't like this. Maybe I should do this. It's an iterative process. And that's what we went through today. And this is the roadmap of what's coming to make it even better for you. There are so many things. Multimodal should be landing today. If you don't know multimodal is, now you can upload PDFs and images from your prompt builder. You can connect it to the files on the records, and then those files will be sent to OpenAI to process. So that will be Safe Harbor GA today in prod orgs, and tomorrow, depending on where your org is. The last one I also want to mention is expressions. Remember in the beginning I said many customers are doing if statements. So we are working on expressions where now you can do if statements, but they'll be done on server side. So if you have an if block and else block, we will say, okay, this is the instruction that should go. So when it goes to LLM, only one of the blocks will be there. So you can be 100% deterministic what LLM will do, so you don't have to rely on LLM for if statements. So that is coming soon, around in May, June. Okay. Yes, I shouldn't forget about that. That's why I did this slide. When I did the dry run, I kept forgetting, and I said, no, I need to remind myself that there is Prompt Builder UI. Are you ready? There. We are converting it to vertical. And you say, why? Like I said, we are keeping the same power. We are not changing the way it works, because the one feedback we got about Prompt Builder is it works. Why change something that's working? But what doesn't work is the UI. If I go back to the demo that I showed you, if I see here, I have to scroll. It's just tiny window. I can't do anything. So with this, we are doing it this way. So when you, and it's collapsible. We are also doing it dynamically. So when I click on preview, it'll auto collapse the prompt, open the resolution and response. I can change it if I want to. So we are doing all sorts of things. That's the one vertical UI 2.0 that we're coming. The second thing we're coming up with is, remember the HTML tags you were seeing? So now we're going to add rich text in there. So now rather than just seeing the HTML tags, you can actually see the rendered data. And roadmap item, if you remember, the previous one was structured outputs. What it really means, it may sound very complicated. What it means is we're going to come out with features where template types say, I don't want text as an output. I want a Lightning component. I want a Lightning list view or something. So this feature will take care of that, where rather than seeing this, you will actually see a Lightning card. The idea is you will preview it here and keep doing it until it's good, rather than saying, okay, I built it, now I have to go there to check it, okay, I change it, I go there to check it. So now you'll be able to view everything here. So whether that's rich text, HTML, JSON, which is just text, sales emails, or the structured outputs, which are Lightning components. So that's exciting part, and exciting. I'm mostly talking about this because my team's working on it. So the third one is one of the things that have come up with is, and if you notice, we had the Einstein search, we had the flow. It can add one line, it can add underlines. It's very hard to go through the resolution when you are reviewing it. Is it working? So there's this change where we are saying, rather than just showing it, I can say, okay, this is what it brought, this is what it brought, and there are more information coming. I said the if statement, so rather than just showing you data, we also plan to add saying, why did you get here? It'll tell you, there was an if statement, and that got true, so it added that, so things like that. So we are improving the resolution to make it easier for you to understand how this resolution is happening, so you can iterate on it until it is what you want. One thing that I didn't mention is when I go to preview, most of the time customers are saying, I don't want to send it to LLM until I'm ready. Why are you using my Einstein requests, right? And then, so here I said, don't include the response. So what will happen is it'll continue with resolution. So you can keep with resolution again and again and again, and until you say, this looks good enough, now I can send it to LLM. Then you do it, and then you preview it again. Now it'll send it to LLM. So helping you, making it easier to edit, doing the demos, if you want to, showing it to the customers, saying somebody, and then you can copy text here rather than having to select all. So there are these tiny little features we are coming up, which together make a very powerful UI interface that will help you make these templates better, faster. Okay, that's for the UI. We have TD workshops. You want hands-on, you already know, you can go there and try it. We also have Trailhead. We have a hands-on Trailhead where you get an org for, I think, 5 or 7 days. And you can go there and you can play around in your org as you want. And then if you have any questions, Prompt Builder community, we monitor that. So go to that Trailblazer community group and ask your questions. And if you haven't already seen it, well, you can grab a free coffee if you are one of the 800s to do it.